Recording has started.
Good morning, everybody. Again, welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting for the 15th of October. It's 10:10 a.m. We would look for the opportunity now for public comment on items not appearing on our agenda. Feel free to mute yourself, and we will take public comment as it's brought forth. Any public comment at this time? Seeing none and hearing none, we will accept public comment when we are under each item. Again, feel free to mute yourself, and we will recognize you before we take action on the items. Would there be a motion to approve the minutes from our October 8th Board of Commissioners meeting?
Motion to approve the October 8th Commissioner meeting minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Under COVID-19 planning and response, we'll start with the personnel item. And Jim, anything to add to this before we take action?
Yeah, I would. I'm asking the board today to consider filling our currently vacant Resource Conservation Coordinator 1 position, the one that was just reclassified this morning. During the construction season this year, we've seen a steady workload with our construction permitting. We've seen an increased number of citizen complaints that we need to respond to. And as a result of those things, we've fallen somewhat behind our normal deadlines that we like to maintain. So in light of that, I'm asking the board to consider allowing us to fill that position.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Any questions, feedback for Jim on that?
Seems straightforward.
Okay.
Motion to fill the currently vacant and furloughed position of Resource Conservation Supervisor. Now, has it been reclassified then to the Resource Conservation Coordinator 1?
Yes, correct.
Okay, I'll make that part of the motion. Effective October 15th.
Second.
Moved and seconded to authorize this. Any further discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Next on this portion of the agenda, we have the consideration of the Nittany Mall testing site continuation, and we'll turn it over to Margaret Gray.
Okay, thanks very much. As most of you are aware, the Department of Health recently provided for what we called a pop-up testing site at the Nittany Mall for a 3-week period of time. During that period of time, almost 2,700 people had the ability to go and be tested for COVID-19 without cost. It was valuable to the county because it was the only testing site that an individual could walk up to and did not need a doctor's prescription. There are other testing sites within the county, 3 of them, but they require doctor's prescriptions for testing. The possibility has been floated about the continuation of testing for COVID-19 and the need for it. The Department of Health has had to redeploy the AMI team that provided the testing at the Nittany Mall to other counties that are currently experiencing upticks in their COVID-19 cases. But before us today is a proposal from the same company, AMI, to continue with this testing site in the same location, same format, free testing, no appointments necessary, no doctor's prescriptions. We have a cost proposal from them for a 21-day period at a cost of just shy of $240,000. We would be also supplementing that in providing lodging through our in-service, in-kind agreement with the university. So the question is, does the Board of Commissioners want to proceed with this testing opportunity and pay for it with our CRBG funds? And if so, then we would move into a review of a contract. We do not have, obviously, a contract from them at this point because it's discussion for today about whether or not you would want to continue with this resource to the county. So I would open it up for your questions and comments.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. Any feedback, questions for Margaret on this discussion?
Well, it seems like a good idea, especially if, as we can work to get the costs down. I don't think we needed quite as many tests as the Department of Health had contracted for. Another positive point to this is, while we certainly aren't receiving any HIPAA level of information, it does allow the county, the hospital, and other important local stakeholders to at least have the smallest idea of what the local positivity rate is by age range and very roughly by region of county. So pursuing this does sound like a good idea to me.
Yeah, there's been a level of frustration, I think, within our organization and others, exactly what the data looks like, where we are experiencing the issues with the virus. And I think this would be helpful for us to maybe better glean some information that as we deploy the rest of our CARES Act money, it'll be very useful.
And just to add on to the data piece, I did speak with the Department of Health contactor, Kristen Faust, yesterday, and asked if we could have continuation of the specific data around especially the age brackets, because the school district and others have expressed interest in knowing what the age brackets of positivity testing looks like. It's the only place that one of the places they've been able to see that. So we know that we'll get positivity rates directly from AMI if you decide to go in this direction. And then we've asked DOH to continue providing us the same data with age breakdowns.
I think the mall location is probably one of the best places, besides the fact it's in between our two largest concentrations of population in the county, the good parking, the good transportation network. We've now established for almost a 3-week period that is where you can go to receive free, no appointment, no hassle testing. And generally, at least if you called in by phone, you got your results back within about 48 hours.
That is correct. So if we were to go forward with a 21-day period, they test 5 days out of a week. So that would give us over 4 weeks of testing. They would stand up a team when they receive a signed contract. Potentially, this could be open by the last week of October, continue almost until the Thanksgiving break.
Okay. Thank you, Margaret. I think we are.
One other question, Mike. When is the AMI contract with the state officially over? What's the end date?
The Department of Health contract with AMI continues, but in other counties. So they finished at the Center County site on October 10th. So the site is down currently.
Okay, that's what I was curious.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other feedback, questions, discussion on this? Okay. Hearing none. So Margaret, in terms of the contract, I think we would again have this on we would have this item on the agenda for Tuesday, the 20th, with the hopes that we would have something reviewed and approved and ready for approval by then. That would give AMI about a week lead time, and we would go from there. But thank you for the work on this, getting this scheduled, getting this set. We appreciate it very much. Thank you. Any questions from the public before we move on to our next item, or anything else we needed to discuss when it comes to testing? Okay. Hearing no other discussion on that, we will then move into our county relief block grant, and we'll keep it with Margaret.
Yes, we need to make one addition to the agenda this morning. I'll cover the recipient agreements, and then as item double I believe it is on here, we will have an update on the small business grant. application process and actually an allocation proposal for you all to consider this morning. So I'll start with, do you want to take action on an addition to the agenda, or should I just continue on?
Why don't we take care of these two things on here, and then we can come back to that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the first item involves the recipient agreements for our municipalities and our educational entities. We've asked municipalities to enter into a recipient agreement with Center County, acknowledging that the expenditure of CARES Act funding would be in accordance with the United States Treasury and Department of Community and Economic Development guidelines. And this morning, we have 3 municipality recipient agreements for you to approve from Howard, Houston, and Boggs Township. And from our educational entities, we received one just late yesterday from the recipient agreement from CPI. So I'd like to add that on here this morning as well.
Okay. Would there be a motion to approve, and we could even take it with one, but it would be to approve the recipient agreements on the agenda for both municipalities and educational entities, in addition to the ones that were stated by Margaret.
Motion to approve the recipient agreements as mentioned from the municipalities and educational entities.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay. And then we'll head into the small business grant program.
Hi.
Hi, Mary Kay.
Hi. How's everybody doing this morning? So we're going to add an agenda item on to the agenda. Do I need to do anything formal for that before I proceed, please?
Yes, if you wanted to suggest to us what you'd like to have on there, we'll add it on, and then we can have the discussion.
Thank you very much. So, I would like to please add that the item would be consideration for an allocation proposal for the small business grant program.
Okay, would there be a motion to that effect?
So is this a discussion then, or are we taking action?
I'm hoping that you would take action with the proposal that I'm bringing forth as far as the allocation proposal.
Okay, so motion to add item CII, approve the allocation proposal for the Center County Government CARES Act Small Business Grant Program. Is that pretty close to what you needed, Mary Kay?
Perfect.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to add this to the agenda. Any further discussion on adding it to the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay, so we are now going to be having the discussion, conversation, potential action on the allocation for the small business grant program. All right, we'll turn it back to you, Mary Kay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I also want to note that Kim Stang from Zelenkowski and Associates is also on the call too for any support or backup. But today I'm very happy to be bringing an allocation proposal recommendation to the Board of Commissioners on the process for which we will award small business grants that faced a business interruption due to COVID-19. The categories that we are proposing that we will make the decisions are there would be a revenue decline, therefore a business interruption, or the DCED, Department of Community and Economic Development, eligible expenses. Whichever of those losses were greater is what we would bring forward. We created funding levels from $0 up to $30,000, so a maximum grant would be $30,000. Just wanted to please note that at any time there was nobody at Center County Government, myself, the commissioners, Margaret, any party from Center County Government ever saw the names during this process of trying to sort through our applications. We did this in order to remain fair and non-biased. The Small Business Development Center, or SBDC, was the group that held all of the other information. We received and looked at, they received and looked at 537 applications. The numbers of businesses that are eligible for this revenue decline or eligible expenses were 412 businesses. They either experienced, again, a revenue decline or were the provided DCE eligible expenses. Therefore, 125 businesses did experience growth through the period that we had in the application from March through July 2020. These individuals are not going to be considered for this particular round of checks that would go out, our first round. They, however, are going to be receiving, those 125 businesses will be receiving another opportunity to provide us with, it's going to be a shortened application of the individuals that already applied, and they're going to now be able to provide to us information on their expenses and revenue decline from March through October. So in case some of those businesses had some decline from July through October, they're going to have another opportunity. These applications will receive a maximum of $5,000, up to $5,000 of a grant. This shortened application will be going out within the next few weeks. So for this whole process, the next steps will be that we will analytically review all the businesses to ensure there's no expense issues, nothing seems to be out of line. Also to really take a look and make sure there's no fraud to the level that we can see. If anything looks unusual, the team will be reviewing the submitted documents or reach out to the business. The team reviewing this will be the Small Business Development Center, Zelenkowski and Associates, and myself. I'm hoping that we are going to return to the Board of Commissioner meeting with a listing next week, either at the Tuesday or Thursday meeting, depending upon what we determine on this more in-depth review of the 412 businesses. We're hoping to return with a recommendation for you to give us approval on the businesses, and then we'll go forward on the process of getting checks out. So that was a lot, but I thank you for that time, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions from the board, feedback for Mary Kay on the small business grant program?
No, I think it's probably as fair and as straightforward as we can make it. I think as we initiate this program, we need to get the money out to the businesses as soon as possible. And being that we do not have the business names or any particular information, this is about as fair and as impartial as we can make it.
Yeah, this is Mark. I agree with Steve. At this point, we really don't know the names of any of the businesses. As we were working on the matrix and setting the maximum award at $30,000, I have analyzed pretty closely the small business grant programs in Pennsylvania. Of roughly 27 counties that have publicly announced a grant program with details. Ours is right in the ballpark in terms of the maximum award of $30,000. And as our outside consulting firm said, ours is more thorough, more detailed, and had substantially more applicants than most other counties, to the tune of 50% to 400% more applicants than counties roughly in our population range. So thanks again to Margaret, to Mary Kay, to Tom, to all the county staff, and to the Penn State SBDC for a tremendous amount of work.
Okay, thank you very much, Mary Kay. We before we take any action on this, any public comment, any feedback on this agenda item? Okay, hearing none. Just to echo all the comments that's been made by Commissioner Dersham and Commissioner Higgins, big thank you to everybody. We're still We haven't cut the checks yet, but we've made a lot of progress in terms of getting this money out to small businesses, and we're about to do so. I know they're eager and need the assistance and the help. We look for a motion to approve the allocation, to approve the process for allocation with a report coming to the Board of Commissioners on the businesses and their municipalities, either on Tuesday the 20th or Thursday the 22nd, but essentially just approving the process for allocation.
So motion to approve the process for allocation of the Center County Government CARES Act Small Business Grant Program.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. And any other comments, just to make sure? Any other thoughts, questions from the public on this before we take action on this?
Right, this is the largest single grant Center County government's administered in its 220-year history.
Absolutely. Okay, hearing no further comments from the public, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay, thank you very much, Mary Kay.
Thank you all. Appreciate all your help.
Moving into our personnel actions, Jim, we'll have you back one more time. Anything you'd like to add to this before we look for a motion?
Nope, just asking for approval for the personnel requisition of our Resource Conservation Coordinator 1.
Okay, third time's a charm.
Yes, please help.
Would there be a motion for this?
Motion to approve the personnel requisition for Resource Conservation Coordinator 1, effective October 15th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Jim. Thank you. For our correctional facility, we have 12 items today for consideration. Are we joined by anybody at the correctional facility on the phone? Okay. Hearing or seeing nobody there, we look for a motion for those 12 items.
Motion to approve the 12 items for the Center County Correctional Facility.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. We have a current position vacancy update for county government, and we'll turn that over to Margaret for any introduction on this.
Yes, thanks very much. Thought that it would be an appropriate time to provide you with some information about what our vacancies look like and where we are in terms of filling positions. And Kristen's put together a summary for you to see here. I believe, are you going to share it on the screen, Kristen?
Yes, Natalie has it. If Natalie can pull it up
Okay.
on the screen, I'd appreciate it. It worked. There we go. Maybe. When it comes up, it shows vacancies for each department, and then the status of that vacancy, if it's been posted, not filling at this time, and then there's a summary at the bottom of the number of vacancies and how many are currently actually being posted and reviewed. I don't know. I can't see it yet. I don't know if any of you can.
8 hour or 7.5 hour. It's like the
No.
other one is timesheet and then
Yeah, from our standpoint, it looks like it's just a blue screen right now.
Same here.
Okay.
Kristen, would you be able to just summarize, since we can't see the form, how many vacancies we do have and how many are in active search mode right now? Because many of these positions are key to the operations of Center County government. And we want to just make sure everybody's aware of what we're doing.
Right, there's 55 currently vacant. I believe it's 44 that are actively being searched, but those include the sheriff department and the correctional facility, which in 911, which are ongoing all the time. We're constantly collecting applications for any 911 correctional facility and sheriff openings. While they may not be filling them at the moment, I include those in the count of those that are being actively searched for. So it's approximately 44 that we're actively searching for, with a total of 55 vacancies.
We can provide the data after the meeting to the Board of Commissioners so that you all have access to the data.
Yeah, I can forward the spreadsheet. I'm sorry, I don't know why Natalie's not able to pull. Oh, there it is. There we go. Natalie, if you scroll down to the bottom, it gives the totals. Sorry. Oh, so there's 40 that are posted at the moment, but as you can see, there's 4 correction officer positions that we're constantly always searching for, but we may not fill till we have another academy, for example. 2 of the correctional facility items are actually full-time temporary, so they're people that we're bringing up from part-time to full-time temporarily, as was approved on a prior agenda. So there's several that are still not being filled at this time, such as transportation, the 2 positions for our MDJ offices. There's some that are not being filled at this time, the cooperative extension position. So I'll forward this on to the Board of Commissioners as well so that they have this information.
So we do post the vacancies on our website as we encourage people to apply for these positions. We are in need of, as you can see by the numbers, the filling of several different positions across a variety of departments. And we hadn't looked at something like this and maybe since the beginning of the calendar year, so I thought it was an appropriate time to just get that global look at what our hiring needs are.
And a lot of these positions are in process. For example, the treasurer's office is in the process of interviewing. I know Natalie Smith has begun interviewing for the staff assistant. We are starting to schedule interviews, first round interviews for the 911 director, which will begin tomorrow, and then the beginning of next week is the plan for those first round interviews to be taking place, which was the next item on the agenda. So.
Okay. Any feedback from the board on these items before we go into an update on the 911 director search?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the update, Kristen. Thank you, Margaret, as well. And again, we'll keep a close eye on this as we go into the end of the year and also our 2021 budget process. All right. And then we'll head into the 911 director update report.
Okay. Margaret and I reviewed applications. We have identified 5 applicants at this time that we plan on doing first round interviews with. The first round interviews will be done by myself, Nick Barger, Carrie Hull, and an outside representative that Dale Neff has provided us from Lancaster County, who's familiar with 911. I've just gotten his availability, so we're hoping today I'll be scheduling interviews to start. We'll be doing them virtually over Zoom, and then once those first round interviews are completed, we'll pass that information on. I'll review that with Margaret for the second round of interviews with Margaret and the board is my anticipation of how that will then go. So.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. Any initial feedback on the process that that has been outlined?
None.
Sounds good.
Okay. We do want to recognize that we do have our departing director with us for an agenda item today, and we thank you again. We're going to take every opportunity we can, Dale. 911 is such a critical position in the county. you never get a good night's sleep. And, in about 3 months, you'll be able to, get a good night's sleep, I hope. So, anyway, just another thanks for all the work you've done for the county, a tremendous, many decades of service to the county. And so, okay, hearing no further discussion on that, we will go into just a quick report on both the positions in the judicial branch of county government that have been one personnel requisition in the court administration office, and then one in the probation office as well.
Well, I just want to mention real quick that Dale and his staff have done a wonderful job over the past couple decades. We have a very professional 911 communications department. Been a lot of support from this board and prior boards of commissioners for that group, based in part on tremendous leadership.
Well said. Absolutely. Well said. Okay. So going into our 3 election items, we have the facilities use agreement with Penn State University, and this would be for the Hub Robeson Center on Election Day, using it as a polling location for Precinct 18. It typically is at the Weston Center, but we need to move that to the Hub, and also for a secure ballot drop box placed in front of the building, in addition to the installation costs due to the drop box and a security camera as well. And all of those costs will either be borne by the in-kind agreement we have with the university or the elections grant we have through the Center for Tech and Civic Life. So we have that item to start with. That would be also pending solicitor review. Our solicitor is making one final look at it. We just want to make sure that we have the language in there for security-related items. We just want to make sure we have that in there. The second is, we talked about this at our meeting last week in terms of advertising and getting voter education information out there. And so we're looking at a contract for $2,500 for online advertising through Onward State. And this would be for the period of October 16th through the 27th. And we may be looking at another round for the 28th through 11/3, which would be for polling, find your polling information and where to vote in location. This would be predominantly for voter registration, and then also for mail-in ballots to put information out regarding that. And then lastly, we have a credit application with Seven Mountains Media for advertising. That would again be voter information radio ads from the period of October 17th through November 3rd. And we actually have a sample of the radio ad that they've produced for us. And again, this is just helpful information for voters to hear, so they're aware of what's happening with the upcoming election. This also, in big part, this advertising, one of the goals would be to reduce the amount of phone calls and emails that we're getting into our elections office, so that we can have more information out to the public rather than people calling into our office. And so that's part of it. So I'd like to play a clip here of the 30-second ad that they've produced for us.
Your vote is your voice. Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd. If you're voting by mail-in ballot, the Center County Board of Elections urges you to mail ballot as soon as possible. If you're voting in person and are not sure of your polling location, go to centercountyvotes.com/voting. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. November 3rd. Make your voting plans now. Visit centercountyvotes.com or call the Center County Board of Elections at 355-6703. Vote is your voice, or by the Center County Elections Office. Your vote is your voice.
And I apologize. That might have been an earlier copy. We had them actually take the phone number out, so my apologies about that. So, but that's essentially a sampling of the ad that they'll be playing on their stations. We appreciate the fact that they're giving us a very good rate to get this word out and help our citizens vote. So we have those 3 items there. Happy to answer any questions on them before we look for a motion to approve. Hearing no questions or discussion, we look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the agreement with the Pennsylvania State University, the proposal from Onward State Advertising, and the credit application with Seven Mountains Media for the Elections Department.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay. All right. As aforementioned, Dale, we'll turn this over to you for this contract.
Good morning. The comments I have on this proposal are very superficial. It's a very vast and deep subject and very deep system. So if there's any questions afterwards, I'll be glad to field them. But I'm asking the board to consider approving an agreement with Center Communications of Bellefonte for the replacement of the microwave connectivity component of the county's public safety radio system. The agreement calls for the replacement of all 20 microwave links at a cost of a state contract price of $491,319.46. And it requires beneficial use by the end of February 2021. For those who don't know, the current microwave component is a Motorola NEC marriage component that has been declared end of life and end of support. So right now we're at risk for, as spare parts go away and dry up, there's a high burn rate on spare parts, but we're at risk for system downtimes, which would dramatically impact the ability of first responders to do their work. So there's also in the agreement a $4,000 per month maintenance and support charge after the initial warranty period, but a lot of those funds are eligible for PEMA 15% maintenance money on a yearly basis. So a lot of those funds will be covered by PEMA grant. That's due to the nature of the messages and information that will be carried over the microwave connectivity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. We know this is an important link within the process for 911, the system, the communications network. And so thank you for bringing it to our attention. Any other comments from the board in relation to this matter?
I have one, and I guess it goes to my overall frustration with the planned obsolescence of many of these Motorola systems that are really not that old. And I guess my frustration is that, the systems are functional, everything's good, but somebody decides, okay, we're not going to be supporting this technology anymore, so therefore you got to go buy a new one. And to me, I find it very tedious and almost absurd that we have perfectly good systems that are basically being rendered dysfunctional just by planned obsolescence. So, just a rant.
I think you have full agreement on that, Commissioner. This is public safety. This is not us doing anything frivolous. It's a matter of life and death. It supports our police, fire, EMS, public works, many other entities, and to have this continually being a merry-go-round where we have to replace this equipment, it does become frustrating. However, I do think, we've been fortunate with getting grants from the state. We've been fortunate with getting additional funding from, or the hopes of additional funding from our 911 surcharge fee. And so there may be conversations in the future about us getting an increased amount that we hope. So we were, I think, certainly in favor of that. It is absolutely frustrating the merry-go-round we're on with this. But we are where we are. I think this is an important upgrade. But I do share. Having you and I been through many meetings and on the new system that we purchased, we certainly want it to last for as long as we can. So, absolutely.
Oh, it's almost like you put a timer on these systems, and when the timer runs out, they have to sell you a new system. And to me, it's just very frustrating that companies like Motorola take advantage of the system like that. And if I'm breaking any hearts by saying what I'm saying, so be it, because my frustration with Motorola has been ongoing. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, Motorola thinks in decades, where we think many times, our annual budget cycle. But they're yeah. So anyway, they're a valued partner of Senator County government. All righty. So Commissioner
Very
Higgins,
high value partner in their esteem.
absolutely, yes. Commissioner Higgins, anything you'd like to add to this conversation?
No, not really.
Maybe emotion.
Just in general frustration how companies act when they have like whatever 70, 80% of the market. So I will make the motion to approve the contract with Center Communications. We'll make the motion to add the contract with Center Communications to the Tuesday, October 20th consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Thank you very much, Dale. We appreciate it. Okay, moving into our planning and community development portion of our agenda, we have two items. The first one is for the Pennsylvania Chesapeake Bay Program Countywide Action Plan, and it's an implementation grant proposal in the amount of $1.3 million. And then we also have the Program Community Clean Water Action Plan proposal for continuation of the coordinator position in the amount of $100,000. We do have Ray Stolinas, our director, with us, and we also have Erin Letovic from HRG with us today. And so we'll turn it over to Ray for some comments. We appreciate your patience to both of you for any introductory comments that we need to have on this. Ray, good morning.
Good morning, commissioners, and thank Erin for being on the call as well for these two items. Back in December of last year, recall the Board of Commissioners met with DEP and discussed the potential of having a coordinator develop a countywide action plan under the Phase 3 watershed implementation planning efforts. This was successfully achieved with a $100,000 grant to hire a coordinator. Back in April, the commissioners entered into an agreement with Herbert Rowland and Grubik, and at that time, Erin Letovic was our coordinator due to the fact that Erin had some experience with Cumberland County with their coordinator position, and HRG has a local office here in State College. We felt that they had the qualifications to help us through this process. Erin has been with us and arranged some meetings with county stakeholders to start building a relationship on this Phase 3 process and building a comprehensive draft countywide action plan. Simply put, the coordinator is focused on leading, coordinating, and supporting the work and efforts in implementing this Phase 3 CAP. During this time of pandemic, it has not been easy. You would expect that we would have a group of stakeholders in a room to meet, and that hasn't been the case. But I have to say that Erin's done a tremendous job in managing getting us together virtually with numerous stakeholders ranging from Penn State, Trout Unlimited, Clearwater Conservancy, Farmland Trust, and Center County Farm Bureau, just to name a few. I just want to mention, too, the Center County Conservation District staff has also played an integral role in the partnering with our performance and providing guidance with their years of experience with the farming community and also watershed group. So we've been fortunate to have Conservation District staff involved heavily. The two items we have today, I'll briefly mention that the $100,000 is a continuation of the coordinator position into 2021. That would need to be submitted as part of continuing on the countywide action plan. The second item, which actually is the implementation grant, which would be our first implementation grant, is in the amount of $1.3 million. And I'm going to let Erin briefly discuss that our first CAP implementation grant request as a Tier 2 county for consideration into 2021.
Sure. Thank you, Ray. And thanks for the opportunity to talk with you today. Are you hearing feedback?
We were, but we're not now, Erin.
Okay, great. Again, thank you for the opportunity, and want to just mention again that staff engagement has been absolutely outstanding. We've had 20 significant partners to date to the table, and that list continues to expand. Ray already mentioned a few of them. Our program is broken up into 4 parts: programmatic initiatives, reporting and tracking, because Center County has a significant story to tell, achieving new pollutant reductions where additional water quality work needs to be completed, and then research, education, and training, because a lot of our partners are involved in these things already and we want to support them in those efforts. So for the implementation grant, part of telling the story is collecting as much information as possible on existing water quality projects that have already happened in Center County. So there's a decent amount of grant there for that type of approach. We are also requesting funding for some additional work on some particular farms and a corridor of opportunity we identified in Cedar Run. So I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have about specifics, but that's a quick breakdown of where we are today.
Thank you, Erin. Any questions, feedback, discussion for Erin or Ray? Okay, thank you. We know the scope of this is vast. We started the conversation prior to the pandemic, so it has changed things. However, we still appreciate the work you're doing on this. We know it's vital, it's important, and so we know the state as well is leading the conversation, really driving us on this. So we appreciate the fact that we can partner with you, use the expertise that you have, and appreciate, again, the continued partnership. Any other questions, discussion, comments on this before we look for potential action? Okay, hearing none, we look for a motion then.
Motion to add the Pennsylvania Chesapeake Bay program proposals to the Tuesday, October 20th consent agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you again, Erin. Thank you again, Ray. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving into our CNET requests, we had this discussion. We had a item on our Tuesday agenda for the change in sponsorship from the Sierra Club Moshannon Group to the Nittany Valley Environmental Coalition for the taping of an environmental election forum on Wednesday, October 21st. I had reached out to the NVEC folks and suggested to them that I was not in favor of changing the sponsorship. Reason being is I think it's good that when we have just one entity like the League of Women Voters that we can sponsor and say that's a program and an entity that we know and we've done traditionally. If we start to sponsor every single nonprofit that would like to hold a debate in Center County with candidates, I think it's difficult for us to then kind of say, we have to stop it here. And so I think just doing the League of Women Voters, that's an opportunity for people to, for candidates to be there, for people can be there. Also, in addition, Zoom, with the prevalence of it, I think that any nonprofit that would like to hold a debate can do it over Zoom, record it, and put it on social media and share it that way. So I'm a little hesitant to increase the amount of sponsorships we have. So that would be my suggestion, my recommendation. And again, I initially communicated to them yesterday that that's how I was leaning, just so they were not surprised by this. But I'm happy to entertain any other discussion on this or thoughts.
I support your position.
Yeah, sounds fine.
Okay. All right. So we would then essentially not need to take any action on this at this time. We would, and again, I can loop back to them, letting them know that we would not be sponsoring it. We appreciate the fact that they are raising awareness on their important issues that their organization believes in. But again, we need to draw the line somewhere. So, okay, I appreciate that, both to my colleagues. Thank you. Margaret, any executive sessions for us to report at this time?
No executive sessions to report.
Okay. Any questions from the press at this time before we look to adjourn? Okay, seeing no questions from the press, we look for a motion to adjourn at 11 a.m.
Motion to adjourn at 11 a.m.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Have a great day, everybody.